gonna need these ones again today. Okay, we're going to start with a look outside. So, it's been about a week since anything was really done. Obviously that last run of filling in all of the trenches and water lines and all that kind of stuff, that's where we kind of stood still. It did in fact rain quite a bit, enough that we had to pump water out of our, we call it our dry cow, or our calving pen hole, kind of the low spot. All the water runs to here. So we pumped all that out, pumped it again a few days later when it rained again, and that's kind of basically the unfortunate status of the barn. Now the good news is that, I mean, it has been decided that we're not going to pour any floors before the framers come. The framers come in, I think the countdown is now to 3 weeks' time. So we basically, what they're going to do is they're going to tidy up the corners of the foundation so that when the framers arrive, the first part of January, then they can get to work and then the rest of this happens. So one of the things that is also supposed to be happening this week is they are going to start to build the walls for our manure pit. The challenge is I got a little laxed and didn't pump water out of this manure pit for 6-8 weeks, basically since shortly after they poured the floor. So the water was up to the top of all of that vertical rebar. So we've lost 3 feet, which is nice at least, I would say. And you can start to see there's a few boards there that's holding the floor when they poured. So it looks like we're getting closer to the bottom. Part of that is because, as I said, we were pumping all that water out of the barn and it was basically flowing down to here. Yesterday, when we dropped that in, it took 12 hours to pump the barn out, and I mean we just pumped it to here, so then we knew we'd need another 12 hours just for that water plus feet more of it. So our water pump, which is actually a sump pump that we've been using, it's worked well, but I didn't have a great hope that it would get this pumped in great order, so we upgraded that. Now, I'm not going to pretend that that is by any means some great upgrade. In fact, like that Champion stuff is remarkably cheap. Like, cheap that you're almost skeptical how long it's going to last, but we're going to try it out because the price of it, like a self-gas powered pump like that, was almost the same as like a big 2-inch trash pump that I figure we'd need to be able to kind of move the same amount of water. The hose that we've been using has a few holes in it. I knew it had a few holes in it, but I didn't realize it had quite so many holes in it. So clearly there's more pressure from this pump than we've had in the last ones. The nice thing is, I said that ran about 12 hours to get just the barn emptied into the pit. I bet I'm only on about hour 13 or 14 with this pump, and we're like well over halfway. We're probably 3/4 of the way to getting all the water out. So I was nervous we would not be able to get this all pumped out by the time they wanted to come with forms and actually start putting walls up. But look at this. It looks pretty good. That's on E. We better put a little more fuel in it. Should be good for another hour. It's time to go down and make some adjustments in the mud. The goal really is to try to, I don't know if you remember the day I got my boot stuck. Yeah, we're gonna try to avoid doing that again. As you can see, what do we only have? A couple inches left to go, 3 inches left to go. And I think once we get the water off the concrete, there's only this much space where it's that extra foot or two. I don't think that'll take very long. Fingers crossed, a couple hours might do it. There we go. Oh! It went over my boot. Oh, it's cold. And I just put these socks on. Oh. We'll turn the pump on and then we'll go change. At this spot, I think it was hip level water, and now we're down to kind of ankle deep. I think that's a pretty good, 24 hours of pumping. Nice. So step one, Calvin's got to come back, dig out that slop around the pit so that these guys can show up. It's time to form a pit. And let me tell you, this was a crew that absolutely hustled. I've never seen anything like it because they showed up on a Thursday, did a run of rebar. It was so windy though, they couldn't really safely put the forms up, so showed back up on Friday morning and got forming and spent all morning into the afternoon and got the entire pit formed. And you think that would be enough for them, given it's a Friday afternoon, but no, then the pump truck shows up. And at the same time they did that pit, the Schoonderwoerd guys, they got in here and tidied up the rest of the foundation. Looks great. But just like that, in one day, 6 guys entirely formed and poured the manure pit. Showed up Saturday morning to pull all the forms off, and just like that, we've got a brand new manure pit. There you have it. A brand new manure pit. Boys should certainly do hustle like getting a job like this done. Sounds like Calvin will be back. I mean, obviously the form's got to come out from the boom truck, but after that, Calvin says he'll be back probably right after Christmas, and we'll get it backfilled, and this will be an excellent job done. Oh man, I can't wait for the fact that I never have to pump this again.